Powerful winds and heavy rain continue to pound communities in eastern North Carolina and areas of the Sandhills. About 500,000 people now without power across North Carolina, but most of those outages are on the coast.
That's right, and those high winds are expected to pick up here in central Carolina throughout the day today. There's already significant flooding, and as you see behind us here, water rescues. Look at that baby, and we've seen pets rescued also as well, happening throughout the night and through the morning in Craven County.
This is what's happening now all across Craven County. These high water rescues, first responders evacuating residents of the River Bend community here by boat. This is a slow process. It's taking people one by one through the floodwaters. About 20,000 people are now in one of more than 150 emergency shelters now open. Now, this is video from AccuWeather of the Cajun Navy rescuing an elderly man from flooding in New Bern. There were more than 100 swiftwater rescues in that city overnight, and they continue. And that is the sound of the Florence eye wall as it came ashore in the Wilmington area this morning. Our photographer Jim Schumacher measuring the wind speed. Wilmington dealing with some major damage and a wind gust of 105 miles per hour recorded there this morning. That is the highest recorded there since 1958. And take a look at this. This played out live on the air about 30 minutes ago. That's our Julie Wilson you see in the back there carrying that dog from the floodwaters in New Bern. Julie is a big dog lover. She's got about 4 of them at home, going the extra mile to get that dog to safety. And we're going to hear from her in just a moment about this. Wow. But first, let's go to meteorologist Don Schwinneker in the First Alert Storm Center to bring us the latest on Florence. Don?
That is so Julie Wilson right there. She is a big dog fan. All right, let's talk about what we're seeing right now. Tornado watch.
Power line right here. Most of the street, well, all of the street does not have power right now. And this is just one example of some of the damage that we've seen. I'm looking down the street and I can just see branches and trees down, hanging down. The innkeeper where we're staying, his car has been shattered by a tree. So it has just been absolutely crazy, the winds and the rain. Thankfully, we are in a spot that is not going to get flooded. That's according to our innkeeper. But downtown Wilmington, I guarantee you right now that that place is absolutely flooded. That place is prone to flooding, and with the Cape Fear River next to it, I guarantee you it is going to be underwater. And we're going to check that out later in the day and kind of bring you updates on what that looks like. Thankfully, right now, it's not really raining much. It is, as you can tell, very, very windy. But we'll keep you updated all day long on these coastal conditions. For now, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Hannah. And you are correct in saying that downtown Wilmington has flooded near the Cape Fear River. That is the case, and that is the reason a lot of people in Greensboro and the Greater Triad area are keeping a close eye on what is happening, making their own preparations, especially with power outages. Let's check in with WFMY News 2's Monica Garcia. I believe she's live in Greensboro. Monica, what are you noticing? We're having trouble getting Monica, so I believe
5 o'clock this morning. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so this area hasn't had power since 5 o'clock this morning, and I'm going to tell you that on this side of the road they have had power, but on the other side of the road they said around 5 o'clock they heard the inverter box just explode. Thankfully, though, Duke Energy has been out. We saw one truck. The guy says he's been out here for several hours just going pole to pole and making sure everything's good. Finally, their power has been restored. We heard a generator on out here, and some neighbors drove by saying they've been without power, but they have pretty much been saying that they're impressed by Duke Energy and how they see them out here and how quickly they're going. I can tell you, I did ask them, I said, did you call the customer service line? And they said, yes, they did. Duke Energy says all you need to do is call that customer service line once. Take a listen to that.
All right, I'm so sorry. We are having some technical difficulties with Monica's live shot, but as she emphasized, Residents across the Triad are all getting ready for the possibility of multi-day power outages. When you're talking about wind and you're talking about rain, it could take a while for Duke Energy crews to be able to get to you, and that's only after they fix the high priority areas like hospitals. I want to go now to WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty if we can. She has been standing by at the Joel Coliseum in Winston-Salem, which has served as a huge emergency shelter already, having seen thousands of people coming and going from the coast and here at home. Alma.
Well, they have served about 60 people in here so far. Sorry, I've got to take that out so I don't hear myself, but they've got 60 people in here so far, but they can fit so much more people than that. They can fit about 1,000 people inside of these doors. People can get all the essentials here: food, water, a place to rest, again, right inside the Joel Coliseum. And they expect that number of people to continue to rise as people evacuate from Wilmington and other parts of the Triad. Now, we did speak with a number of evacuees this morning, many of them who were from Wilmington, who said that they were just very glad to be out of the situation. They pray for their family and for their friends who are still there. Now, just to keep in mind, this place, this shelter by the Red Cross, it is not just for those evacuating the coast. It is for anyone who really is in a flood-prone area who wants to make sure that they are safe. We did speak with a number of people, too, who are also from the Triad, who just know that if they were to stay where they were, they would be in a flood-prone area in a bad situation. But another thing I do want to note about this particular shelter is, although they don't let pets inside of this building, there is an annex on this campus, so you can bring your pet. A lot of people don't evacuate because they're scared of what's going to happen to their dog or to their cat, but you can bring them here and they will be safe. For those who are not really experiencing any of the flooding, you are in a safe area and you want to do something good, you can bring your donations to the Goodwill that is right next door over here, next to the Joel Coliseum. Anything from canned goods, toiletries, water, they will take it all, and it will be very welcome here. So back to you guys for now.
All right, thank you, Alma. Yes, as Alma was wrapping up, we were seeing again some devastating video from New Bern. A reminder to anybody who stayed behind that they should pay attention to these evacuation warnings and please heed them and utilize shelters like the one Alma is at. We have a full list of shelters and available resources on WFMYnews2.com, and our coverage of Hurricane Florence continues after this break.
And that's how I got to talk to a lot of people. Some just coming to get a cup of coffee, others coming to get a little perk after a long night of stress waiting to see how their property would fare in the hurricane. I spoke to a gentleman who evacuated from Wilmington and came here to Asheboro to be with his grandmother. He said that he was waiting up all night and didn't lose power until 6:30 this morning. Other businesses here on this main drag here are closed, but some are staying open, like this coffee shop. And I got to catch up with two employees from a health shop down the way. I got to hear with them.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm probably one of the least prepared right now. But so water, obviously, and just making sure all my people are safe. I've been checking on family and friends. I'll probably catch up with family later tonight and stay with them. And I really wasn't sure what this thing was going to do because it's been kind of up and down. It changed a lot. So I'm just kind of going off what people tell me at the bar. Not the beer bar, but the smoothie bar.
And I see that your business is open today. Why did you choose to stay open when so many others are closed?
Yes, well, we've got a healthy business, so people are off work. We thought they could still come get a healthy meal today for breakfast or lunch until we know what the hurricane's going to do.
So you might evacuate later?
Yeah, maybe like down the road. I'm going to stay close. We're going to stay close.
Scared?
Not right now. I know for the coast they're pretty scared, so definitely they're in our prayers.
And we joined her now. We talked about earlier about those power outages, and coming up later in our show, we're going to talk about what to do if you come across a traffic light that has no power. What should you do then? We're bringing to that soon. Reporting live in Asheboro, Meredith Stutz, WXII 12 News.
Meredith, thank you. Well, as Florence pushes its way into the Carolinas, conditions are starting to go downhill in Myrtle Beach. Yeah, things are changing. That is where Travers Mackle is live this afternoon. Travers, what are you seeing and feeling there now?
Hey there, Margaret and Wanda. This is really the first rain that we've experienced for the last 60 minutes or so. Before that, it's really been dry. The wind has somewhat died down. That's a good thing. But what they're experiencing and what they're really planning for here in Myrtle Beach and all across South Carolina is the rain. They feel like it could dump a lot of rain on this area. That, in turn, could lead to street flooding. So that is the biggest concern here. We have also been told about 4,000 people in South Carolina now are without power. Unfortunately, that number may grow as the conditions worsen with this weather storm. We have also been told that the winds got so high at one time that emergency responders may not be coming out to rescue anybody who needs help. So they're telling people, if you didn't listen to the advice of emergency leaders and you stuck around, now is the time to shelter in place. Do not go out. Do not go sightseeing. Do not drive around, because they expect this to be a rain event now that Florence is on shore, and they expect it to stick around South Carolina throughout Friday and into early Saturday morning. For now, we're live in Myrtle Beach. I'm Travers Mackel, WXII 12 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Travers.
Not over yet.
No. Well, you're looking live right now at New Bern again. Our special coverage continues until 1 o'clock this afternoon, and we'll be on the air throughout the day. More incredible.
If a person gets too close to those lines, steps near them or on them, that person could be electrocuted. Now, Duke Power is on the way out here to make sure the line is secure, but this is a reminder that, number one, you never know what's going to happen when you have this kind of severe weather. It could happen to you, especially if you live near a very heavily wooded lot like this. The rain's been coming down so hard and so steady, and it's going to get worse. More trees could topple. But again, the takeaway from this that we want you to remember is always, if you see any lines like this pulled down by trees or anything else, stay far away from them, because you never know. You could be injured or killed. We're live in Wake County. Anthony Wilson, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Wow, really touches your heart. Anthony, thank you.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. All right, well, Durham also feeling the effects of Hurricane Florence. This is video from Eyewitness News of viewer Elizabeth McPropster. This is a tree down on Main Street. We're not exactly sure if this is close to, it looks like it is close to Duke University. But again, look at this large tree that fell down. And
in Durham, non-emergency operations are closed today due to the hurricane. The good news, parking is free at the on-street parking meters, so that's some good news. But watch out for the situation in Durham there. That's a big tree to have to take care of in the city of Medicine.
Yeah, when you're not supposed to get out.
Yeah.
But if you have to get out, parking is free.
All right, let's continue on now. Let's go to Derek Waller. He joins us live in Jacksonville, and it is really coming down there, Derek.
Yeah, John and Barbara, I feel like I'm standing in somebody's shower right now. We've had some pretty consistent rain here. The wind, really not too bad, though we have had some gusts. One thing that's helping us, though, is that we are standing in front of a 4-story building, so that is a strategic location on our part to kind of keep us safe. But I want to show you up here, you can kind of see that flag up there, that American flag. Early this morning, it was really whipping around, and you can really see how the wind was going. Right now, it is still whipping, but not nearly as bad. You can see it's also kind of tattered as well. Let me show you over here too. We do have some roof damage on this hotel that's just across the way here, as this rain is really picking up now. Some other damage, we have some video, I believe, at Topsail Beach, and that's a gas station canopy that was ripped apart by those winds overnight as that eye wall was coming ashore earlier this morning. So that just gives you an idea of just how bad that wind was. But really the big story, obviously, as everyone's been talking about, is the amount of water that we're dealing with. Obviously the flooding up in New Bern, and just the fact that this storm is just going to sit here for some time and just dump all this water. 30 inches of rain at Atlantic Beach in 24 hours. That was a record setter as well. So again, right now we're dealing with just a lot of rain. It's been nonstop rain all morning. The wind has fluctuated. Right now, really not too bad. But again, the big story is the rain and life-threatening torrential downpours we're going to be dealing with all weekend long. That is the latest here from Jacksonville, North Carolina. We'll send it back to you guys up in the Raleigh area.
All right, Derek Waller, thank you very much. Put your hat on. You need your hat on out there, Derek.
Yes.
It's going to fly away.
That's true. That's true. Thanks,
Derek.
sir.
Thank you, Derek. All right, maybe you saw this a little bit earlier, about maybe almost an hour ago on our air live, as there were rescues going on in New Bern. Our own Julie Wilson was out there among some people being rescued and actually helped rescue a dog, and she did a Facebook Live.
All the way from Jacksonville, Florida, who says she's expected to spend 10+ days helping out at the shelter. It's expected to stay open for 2 weeks, and many of those seeking shelter are from the Wilmington area and say they're just glad to have somewhere to lay their head and be safe, including one man who said he's never evacuated before, but he made sure to heed the warnings.
I heard on the news that it was going to be high wind and damage and flood and everything. So both of my vehicles are down there, and I told me and my wife we got to get out of here.
Now, this is a co-shelter, which means you can bring your pets here. They're just going to be housed in a different area, but there is still plenty of space, hundreds of spaces open for people to come here. So if you do need to seek shelter, you can. Reporting live in Winston-Salem, Bria Love, WII X12 News.
Bria, before you go, those people that you talked to, have any of them had the opportunity to speak to folks who might still be back at home to find out what's going on there?
Yeah, the man that you saw there in the soundbite earlier, I talked to him. He said his mom is still in the area. He talked to her. She's doing okay, but he really wishes that she would evacuate. And if anybody is still in an area where they can come evacuate, the Red Cross says they do encourage them to come here because there are so many opportunities and spaces open here. Back to you.
All right, we just hope and pray. All right, thanks a lot, Bria.
You were talking about people from down east, and my friend that I was telling you about who also has a cousin who's staying at her house from down east, but they have talked to some family members down there, and they told her that they have had no power since last night, and that they have water coming up around them, but they...
This is to save lives. We've been hearing about those water rescues happening on the East Coast. We hope that doesn't happen here, but if it does, these guys are ready. Tom Hensgen is the task force manager with the LA Fire Department Water Rescue Team. What kind of task would you guys be performing here, Tom?
Depending on the situations, whether it's flash flood or just isolated widespread flooding. So we could be tasked with either moving water rescue or static water rescue, just people stuck and surrounded by water, or people stuck based on moving water.
And you've performed a number of swiftwater rescues in your time on the fire department. What's going through your mind when you're doing that?
Just assessing the situation, the risk assessment, making sure that we have all our safety precautions in place, and then we set out to rescue the people that need it.
Any idea yet of where you might be going, where FEMA might send you?
Currently we're assigned to the Virginia branch, and we are assigned to Henry County right now, and we're stationed here at the Henry County Public Safety, and we will be, if our services are needed, we will be dispatched right here from Henry County.
Have you personally been deployed to a hurricane situation before?
Yes, I've been to Katrina, Rita, Ike, Gustav, Harvey, Irma, and now Florence.
Yeah, well, we thank you for coming out this way and helping us out. Martinsville does not have a swiftwater rescue team on their fire department. Of course, Greensboro, High Point, Kernersville, and Winston-Salem have swiftwater rescue teams, and some of them are on the East Coast right now. On Facebook, we saw Greensboro Fire Department is already in Pender County helping out with those rescues.
Yeah, Maddie, they are unsung heroes. To them, they're just doing their jobs, but they are saving lives every minute, putting their own safety at risk in situations like this. We certainly appreciate all that they're doing. Well, one area they might likely deploy to is the Wilmington area. Let's check back in with WFMY News 2's Luke Liddon. He's live there now. Luke, you have seen up and down conditions all day long.
Yeah, Megan, we have, and I want to put this hurricane and the damage it can cause in perspective for you. Just look at what surrounds me. Down trees, down power lines, obviously a very dangerous area for the hurricane, and we actually have the homeowner right here trying to clear out his yard while he still has a free moment, while it's not raining, while there are still some gusts of heavy wind. The rain has paused momentarily, but all of this just gives you an idea of what a hurricane, Category 1 at that, can do. Can you imagine if this was Category 3, 4, or 5 when it hit the coast? It would be unfathomable what we would see here when we already see this from a Cat 1. I actually asked this homeowner right before I was taken here on TV, was this the worst damage you've ever seen? He said, hands down, it's the worst he has ever been through. and the last he'll hopefully ever see when it comes to hurricane damage in this area. Now, I actually did see a fire truck about a few blocks away with their sirens on take a left, so that is a good sign, thinking that crews are coming out in this direction to help alleviate some of the distress these neighbors and homeowners have seen, and as you've seen behind me. It's going to be a long cleanup. We still expect a lot more heavy rain, heavy wind gusts to come our way, lasting throughout today, tomorrow, really throughout the entire weekend. And we, of course, will continue to keep you updated on these conditions, and hopefully we'll have crews head this way as well. But that's only time will tell in the coming hours and days in this cleanup process, as these homeowners and everyone in really North Carolina brace for more of Hurricane Florence throughout the weekend.
Okay, Piedmont Triad, just want to give you the latest information and take a
only way out. Back to you guys.
All right. Anna, thank you.
All right, about 500,000 people across the state have lost their power at the Emergency Operations Center in Raleigh. They're monitoring that as well as the other things going on in relation to Hurricane Florence. Let's go to Bridget Condon. She's been standing by there all morning. Bridget?
Yeah, John and Barbara, well, like we've been saying all morning long, like you just mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people inside the EOC making sure people are as safe as possible, getting rescuers out where they can. Governor Cooper was just here around 11 a.m. speaking to the media. The biggest talking point he mentioned was this rain. It's continuing. We're going to see flooding. We're going to see the rivers rise to dangerous levels. We're going to see historical flooding throughout the state. He said about 500,000 people are without power in North Carolina. He said he spoke with the mayor of New Bern and said teams will be ready to help them get through this terrible time. Cooper stressed the importance of the severity of this storm. You can see it here in the video. Already so much damage still early on in this hurricane. He's deeply concerned but knows North Carolinians are going to make it through this, work together and stick together.
To those in the storm's path, if you can hear me, please stay sheltered in place. Do not go out in this storm. The Weather Service says flash.
Thanks, Brody. Yeah, that's one of the terms. You hear a lot of people say that they're stir crazy, but we'll be here tracking Florence's path until it's safely out of the low country.
Next up, we're going to check on Berkeley County, where many are sheltering through the storm. And just in, Beaufort County schools, they're going to reopen on Monday.
But before we go to break, a quick live look at Wilmington. And remember, if you can't be near a TV during the storm, you can catch some of our weather coverage on the radio. That includes 1250 WTMA, Magic 107.3, and Nash FM 96.9.
Persistent, though, throughout today, tomorrow, and lingering into Sunday as the rest of that storm begins to move by. I think by late Sunday, Monday, we'll start to bring that out. And that could cause some power outages locally. We've already had some sporadic outages as it is. On the minor side, but areas where we could be a little bit more focused will be Rowan, Davidson, Davie County, as well as Randolph and Montgomery County, too. The forecast, we'll have to go off your 7-day forecast. Temperatures lower 80s today. Rainfall chances relatively limited. Later today, we could see some decent rain, especially across our eastern areas. Not as much for the mountains and foothills, though, today. Spotty tropical showers is all we'll see. Our best rain chances will be late Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
All right, thanks a lot, Brian.
You are looking live right now at Myrtle Beach as our special coverage continues until 1 o'clock this afternoon.
And we will be on the air throughout the day. You don't want to go away. We'll have more incredible live images across our state when we come back.
There are doors. The other thing that I want you to take a look at that's going on right now, if you look over there, they have crews that are filling sandbags right now, and we're told that they will be filling a hole. That's the simplest way to describe this, a hole that's back there that they say they feel will prevent more flooding from Hurricane Florence. They say that during Hurricane Matthew, they got a lot of water from the Lumber River that came through that, and they feel that this is going to prevent some of what we saw during during Hurricane Matthew. So I'm told that they actually made this request on Tuesday and that they are now just getting that permission, so they are just quickly trying to get that done right now. And of course, these are not the best conditions for it because we're already seeing a lot of rain, a lot of wind, but they quickly are getting this together. And you see all the sandbags that they are filling right now. They tell me that the hole that they will be filling is actually on those railroad tracks, and so that's what they're working on right now, and they will continue to do that here. But throughout Lumberton, we are talking to people who are just hoping that this is not a repeat of Hurricane Matthew. I mean, we're hearing about rain possibly reaching 20 inches of rain here in Lumberton from Hurricane Florence. So we're not quite seeing those impacts just yet, but that could change here in the coming hours and in the coming days. Of course, we'll be sure to bring you the very latest. And stay with us because coming up a little later, we'll talk to a few people who actually lived through Matthew. One man tells me he had to be canoed out of his home, and he's riding out the storm again here today. Back to the studio.
Wow, I really hear that wind picking up. Gloria, thank you for that report. And I know that, gosh, it's so close to people who experienced Matthew that going through this again is just very, sensitive.
Yeah, those pictures are so dramatic from Matthew. Whole blocks underwater in the Robeson County. And as we said, still recovering to this day, 2 years later.
Yeah, and Bridget was talking about drones. You would want to take that drone and see this incredible flooding and coverage just like this one here.
Is this the Belhaven video? Yeah, okay. This is some pictures taken from Belhaven in Beaufort County. First 3 photos were taken roughly an hour apart yesterday, and the 4th one was taken this morning. You see how quickly that water rose.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go to weather now.
Yeah, and speaking of the drones, the governor said don't use them because there are going to be people in the air that he didn't want them to interact.
I'll tell you, it's almost heartbreaking. When I just had somebody on Facebook Live from Robeson County say, what's Robeson County looking like? Is this like Matthew? And the potential, unfortunately, is there to see that. Yeah. I hope you don't, but boy, the winds are picking up. And that's the other question I got asked the most on Facebook. It's not raining that much in my house. Is it going to rain soon? Yeah.
Into the weekend. The developing concern is high tide, which just started at 11 a.m. and will continue to push dangerous flooding into communities and make rescues even more difficult. In Wilmington, North Carolina, Natalie Brunel, ABC News.
So to see just how much of Florence will be felt here in the Low Country, we'll of course be right here, keeping our eye on it. Our special noon broadcast continuing with more coverage on Florence.
There's a car, the back window was bashed in from the same exact situation, but fortunately for this car, the extent wasn't as serious. But we've seen quite a bit. Earlier this morning, we had 92-mile-an-hour winds that we had to get through for several hours. Extreme, heavy downpour of rain. And as you can see behind me, just take a look briefly at the damage just on this one alleyway. And this isn't even the worst of it. We've heard reports of severe flooding in other areas, especially in downtown Wilmington. We're, of course, going to check that out tomorrow and give you more extensive coverage in that area of Wilmington, North Carolina. But we actually, believe it or not, there are people out right now walking their dog on the phone, and we actually talked to another set of people. The tree branch almost hit me in the head there. A son and his mother were walking, and I actually yelled at them and said, "What exactly are you doing out here?" And they said they're just trying to take a look at the extensive damage and before it gets a little more hectic with these conditions, the rain, the wind, things of that nature. But it's been a wild ride so far. It's very surreal to be in these elements and to really see it in person. You see these things on TV, you see them on the internet, but when you're here in person and experience the wind gusts and see all the damage, it's quite surreal. But I do want to mention really quickly before I toss it back to you in the studio, there hasn't been any flooding in this specific area, which is a good sign. Just right now, it's just some wind gusts, no rain, so we'll see if that changes in the coming hours. But for now, toss it back to you in the studio.
All right, we applaud our crews who have really gone through the brunt of the storm all day long, keeping us informed and hopefully keeping themselves safe as well.
That's right. The rain increases tonight. The winds gusting up 40 to 45 tonight through tomorrow. Still looking for very heavy rainfall and maybe parts of the Piedmont historical flooding. Stay with us for continuing updates.
We'll have another digital update at 1 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Debilitation is right about there. How far to go? we can put a little ruler on this and see that in an hour this thing has traveled about 10 miles, maybe 12 miles. That's actually, that plot right there, that informal plot's actually a little bit faster than the National Weather Service. They say it's moving about 6 to 9 miles an hour. Zoom it out and look at the radar loop, and the back edge of this shower activity, you'll notice, is running right here. We're seeing rain, heavier rain now, running right down I-85 through Lee County and now into Hoke County. That's where the rain shield is. The really heavy rainfall is still down in this area, though, and all of that will continue to press off to the west. We will see that working through and bringing that heavier rainfall to the region. The heaviest rainfall right now running in northern Wayne County and also into Johnston County. You can see that heavier rainfall from Goldsboro on through Johnston County back into Harnett County, and that will continue to rotate through. This is looking at rainfall totals, Doppler radar estimates. We can actually use the radar to judge how much rain has fallen. Down here in the white areas that's not in our viewing area, those areas, over 10 inches of rain. And we'll look at some of the coastal flood. Well, we can do that right now. First, we'll look at our area, and you can see 3.5 inches of rain or so as you get into Johnston County, northern parts of Wayne County, just north of Goldsboro, 4.2 inches of rainfall so far. Let's see if these totals have updated. We're going to take the totals off. We'll put some new totals on here real quick. So this is 795 just north of Goldsboro right now. 5.5 inches of rain have fallen. How about in eastern Cumberland County? 2.1 inches of rain. And we go down into Sampson County. Northern Sampson County, almost 4 inches of rain. Southern Johnston County, 4.5 inches of rain. Southern Wilson County, 4.1 inches of rain. Even eastern Wilson County, 4.3 inches of rain. So that's that heavy swath of rain that has fallen. We're going to turn those off. Let's move this off to the south. I just want to show you some of the coastal totals. We've had a lot of questions about what's down along the coast, these white areas toward Havelock and Harkers Island and Atlantic. And we'll look at what some of those rainfall totals are. Here's Emerald Isle. Lots of folks at almost 9 inches there. Harkers Island, 8.2 inches. Atlantic, 10.9 inches. Sneed's Ferry, along the beach, 4.1 inches of rainfall there. Here is the latest. We'll finish up with the latest on Hurricane Florence. Maximum sustained winds at 80 miles an hour, moving west about 6 miles an hour, located 25 miles west-southwest of Wilmington, North Carolina. I do expect it in the Myrtle Beach area. I know we've got Jonah and our videographer Chris Hart down in Myrtle Beach. I think they'll see the bulk of the high winds and heavy rainfall tonight as it arrives around 8 o'clock tonight. By tomorrow at 8 a.m. that's pressing west. By tomorrow, it will be in South Carolina. We'll still feel the effects because this thing's just a monster. It's so wide. We're going to see the effects of it. And then as it pulls back through western North Carolina, the potential to put down some heavy rainfall, and that's why Boone to Asheville are actually under a flash flood watch. And then it goes off to the north and to the east and pulls up through the Atlantic states and on into New England. But just a monster of a storm. It's so huge and it's so slow moving. If it hasn't done a lot at your house yet and you're going, where is... I feel like it's that old 80s commercial. Where's the beef? Where is it? It's not here yet. It will be. It's just going to take a while to get there.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw how long it took to actually make landfall, that would make more sense.
We have been talking about this storm, honestly, for 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been tracking it since like Wednesday of last week. So there's still a long ways to go with this as the slow-moving storm continues to churn and continues to pull rain into us.
And I think that's part of it. We've been talking about it for so long. People are like, okay, where is it?
Where is it?
Coming.
We've been waiting. It's coming, don't worry.
Yeah.
I wish I'd be wrong and it would miss, but I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, we got some new video to show you. First of all, here you see a roof blowing off an ABC store on Don's particularly
I think everything's okay
that.
inside.
This is Owen Drive in Fayetteville, and probably still folks lined up to get business there. And here's some video from the New York Fire Department boats in the water in New Bern. We followed this caravan in, and now they're in the water, launching new rescues to rescue those folks who are trapped.
All right, well, this video shows roads washed out. This is in Wrightsville Beach, and you can see, gosh, the debris in the roadway there. And this is video of a neighborhood in Wilmington. It's a mess after trees down. These photos from Jeff Williams on Facebook. Look at that's right through. That looks like their kitchen. We've talked to a number of people who've had trees just come through the house and, you know, man-made sunroofs.
Yes, and we're going to have another report about that in just a second. But right now, the effects of the hurricane being felt statewide, including Durham. And you see this tree down on Main Street right by the Duke campus. If you have to go out, it's still dangerous, and the winds are still blowing very strongly and could always topple over trees that are in the saturated ground.
No doubt about that. All right.
All right, let's continue on now. Joe Mazer has found a situation in Fuquay Arena near the historic district where, move that over there a little bit, where a tree has fallen over onto a house. Joe, can you hear us? Are you there, Joe?
Probably. You can probably. Yes. Can you not hear me? Yeah, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes. Okay. So you've got this tree you can see. It's actually a tree limb that has fallen on the Walter Aiken house. So if you're familiar with downtown Fuquay Arena, this is on Fuquay Avenue. This is a 100-year-old historic house. Walter Aiken, who was a tobacco farmer 100 years ago, was the third mayor of Fuquay. So some people who have been living here, the Ridpaths, they've lived in this house for about 10 years. So about 11 o'clock this morning, this giant branch on what is a water oak split off this tree, landed on top of their house. Fortunately, nobody was injured. And they're actually in really good spirits about the whole thing. And there's not even, they say it's, you know, it's kind of affecting the attic, but no water is coming in at this point. But you can see how ginormous this branch is. They were worried going into this, but this is a possibility because
get some last-minute preparations done. We just had a band come through here, and I had to get my rain jacket out, and I thought, oh, here it comes. Heavy winds, lots of rain was spraying on people, but they're here and they're working. And you know what? What we also saw was, you know, in a crisis, we've heard this before, look for the helpers. And the folks that we met and talked to out here, it was incredible. They were out there really helping each other and not leaving until the work was done today.
All right. Board, we appreciate that. Downtown can flood, of course, on a normal day, let alone drenching rains from a potential tropical storm. Brody Hart's been live downtown for us this morning. And Brody, more and more people out, or still pretty quiet down there on the Battery?
We talked with some folks who live in an apartment on this street above some of these shops. They are doing okay, and they were walking along the street. I think they were going to walk down to some friend's house to make sure that they're doing okay. But, you know, the damage here is just really incredible. Driving through town, we've seen trees down and debris in the road, lots of grass and branches from trees. That's kind of the main thing we're seeing. And then, of course, the water coming up several roadways into town are blocked off because of flooding, so we couldn't obviously go down there, but you know, lots of damage in the area is what we're seeing here in New Bern this afternoon.
What he could, it looks like. He put up some of this planking just outside, but it certainly was no match for the winds that came through. I don't even know what kind of store this is. There's no signage that we can see at this time. It's just heartbreaking to think, because this is a mom and pop shop. The owner is probably going to incur a lot of costs and a lot of work straight ahead. But this is just one of the areas that we're seeing a good bit of damage as we're driving around. Tons and tons of flooding here in New Bern. We've seen railroad tracks underwater, streets flooded out. We have seen countless boats going out trying to get to certain areas. We know that certain officials are doing welfare checks in certain communities. We've seen that. I'm going to have my photographer step up a little bit, but we do have to be careful because this did just come down, so there is some nails, wood, broken glass in the roadway. Right over here, you can see this massive tree came crashing down, and you'll notice all around it there is down trees, down branches. It's just pretty incredible. And you know, this water, with this water not only, but we still have these rains that are coming down. I got off the phone not so long ago with a representative with the Cajun Navy. We know that they're out here helping to get people to rescues and get them to safety. I asked how many folks and representatives they have out here right now. I'm being told they have anywhere from 40 to 50 crews out here trying to help folks get out of those rising waters. I'm being told that more help is coming this way, and this area can certainly need it right now here in New Bern. John and Barbara.
All right, Elena, thank you. Boy, what a mess in that area, and so many people in need of rescue. It's just, wow, really pounded that area hard. 4,300 customers in New Bern without power now. The whole city, a very historic city in North Carolina. Our first state capital was there, and just a terrible situation there, and the mayor's asking for prayer. Okay, we lost Joe Mazer a little bit ago. He showed a tree down on an historic home. Let's go back and get the rest of his report. Joe?
Okay, I don't know if you guys can see me, but I'm standing in front of a branch. I don't know where you left off either. So this is a giant branch. This is a water oak. And about 11 o'clock this morning, obviously some wind took it out, and it landed on this 100-year-old historic home and broke through into the attic, which obviously is problematic. And the homeowners are fortunate enough to be living 2 doors down here on Fuquay Avenue from the fire department. They actually heard the impact and came right over to make sure everybody was okay and to see if they could help out with some of the damage. Obviously, this is quite an undertaking now to get fixed. They're going to have the insurance company out here in a little bit to try to at least put something on top of the damage on the roof, so they'll at least be able to prevent some water from coming in. There's already a restoration company here trying to figure out what they're going to do to try to tackle this. This is a 100-year-old home, as I said. Walter Agan used to live here a long time ago. He was the 3rd mayor of Fuquay-Varina. So obviously the wind is a big factor. It's really whipping, and since we've been standing here, several other branches and other debris have fallen. I've been offered a hard hat, and maybe I should take somebody up on that. And the homeowners right now are, they're happy. Their pets are safe. They're safe. They're not so much worried about this tree anymore because both limbs on both sides have now fallen. Another one did a couple weeks ago. The other 100-year-old trees that are also on this property, and the potential for those branches to come down. And in fact, a crew has been out here looking at some of those other trees to see if there's something they can do with those. So obviously it's an ongoing situation. We also just heard a loud bang from another neighborhood. We're not sure if that's another tree or maybe a transformer blowing. They've been without power here for a while this morning, and you can just see the wind whipping up. John and Barbara.
All right, thank you, Joe Mazer, live for us in Fuquay-Varina. Wow.
All right. Now
big tree and big house and big damage.
Another development now. We've got a tornado warning.
Yeah, this just coming to us from the National Weather Service. Let's get straight to radar. We'll show you where this is. Live look at First Alert Doppler. A tornado warning now in effect for Edgecombe County. I'm just getting the reading from the National Weather Service. National Weather Service in Raleigh issuing a tornado warning for Edgecombe County that is east of Rocky Mount. Let's zoom down into this area. To the director, I'm working on Weather 3 now, but in a moment I'm going to have you switch to Weather 1. Just hold on. This tornado warning in effect until 1:15. At 12:39, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Bethel, or 10 miles east of Tarboro. It is moving west at 45 miles an hour, and unfortunately that puts it right in the path of Tarboro. So here it is just south of Speed. I'll guarantee it's down in that little pocket. Let's go to Weather 1. Thank you. Weather 1 showing more details on this. Steve Stewart working on this as well. Again, a tornado warning now in effect until 1:15 for Edgecombe County. Cities that it includes: Princeville, Rocky Mount, and Tarboro. Rocky Mount, this will be in your area in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Nashville, 118. Spring Hope, 129. Bunn, 139. And Steve, can we go in a little tighter on this? Because I know we've got Edgecombe right in here as well. All right, so here's Tarboro in Edgecombe County, and it's this area right here. Watch right at the end. So we're looking at the radar product. We're not looking at where the rain is. This is called gate-to-gate shear. And when we say that, we can actually see the wind inside the storm. We've got inbound winds and outbound winds. And when those inbound winds and outbound winds get really close together and that color changes, and you can see this goes from a bright green to a burgundy color, that is where the possible radar indicated tornado is. Putting on the map, you can see it is headed right for the Tarboro area. So if you're in Tarboro right now, you need to take shelter immediately. You want to go to an interior closet or the lowest floor of your house. If you live in a mobile home, hopefully you have someplace else to go. Mobile homes are not safe during a tornado warning as this works through. The movement of the storm is almost due west, so it is headed right toward Tarboro. Again, if you're just joining us now, the National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning in effect for Edgecombe County and specifically for Tarboro, and this runs until 1:15. You're looking live at First Alert Doppler radar, Princeville, Rocky Mount, Tarboro, all included in this area, but it is this movement of the storm right here north of Bethel there. Bethel really not a factor. It's right in this area on this last scan of the radar, and there's Tarboro, and this is coming right at you. So Tarboro right now, look at the movement of this. It may graze the northern part of Tarboro, but where this rotation is, right here where it's indicated, that is where you would see a tornado. Steve, let's go to that tornado safety. So if you're in Tarboro right now, here's what you need to do. Here's what I want you to do. Just stop watching TV. And you can leave the TV on so you can hear me, but you need to go to an interior room or a closet. What is safe? You want to stay away from the second story of the house. If you have a two-story house, do not be upstairs. Don't go into the garage. You want to go to the lowest level of the house, okay? And you want to go into an interior room or closet right in the middle. When we say interior room, we're looking for the middle of the house. If you're on the edge by a wall or by a window, you do not want to be there. Unlike the movies, it doesn't pick the whole house up and move it. It can, but a lot of times the first thing to go are the windows. And if you're by a window and that glass breaks, you are going to get injured. One of the biggest injuries with tornadoes is from flying glass. So that's why you want to look for a closet and shut the door, or a bathroom. Interior room that's a bathroom. And if you don't have an interior room, the next safest place you can go is in a bathtub on the lowest floor. If you've got one of those, the sides of that bathtub, nice and hard, they will protect you. Put over a big blanket, put over a mattress, and get protected from the wind. Do not go outside and look for this tornado. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado, so we can sometimes see a tornado spin up before it ever drops from the sky, and that's what's happening with this right now. We've had several tornado warnings. We've had at least one confirmed tornado I've seen with this storm, and on the right side of the storm, this happens. You get these little cells. They're moving with a lot of speed. The wind inside the cell starts to rotate, and that will create that possible tornado, and that's what we've got going on right now in Edgecombe County. And it looks like it's a very strong rotation right here as it's moving off to the west and working to the west-northwest, just south of Speed. Here it is, and this is 258 as it goes out of Tarboro. This is just getting ready to cross 258 on the east side of Tarboro as it turns north and heads up toward Hobgood and off to the north. But there's Tarboro, there's 258 there. We can put a few more roads on. Shiloh Farm Road, it's running right along the County Highway 111 there, and where it crosses over South Shiloh Farm Road. Here's Tarboro right here. Here's West Howard Avenue on the west side of town. If you're hearing these streets, Sarah Lee Road. If you're hearing streets and you go, boy, that's near me, you need to be sheltered. You need to be in the interior of your house right now. McNair Road, another one popping up. There's a County Highway 44, Albemarle Avenue on the north side of Tarboro. This is where the rotation is happening with this storm as it's continuing to work off to the west. Looks like we're also seeing, we see these little pockets of rotation really across the area. It's when they become a little more intense that we really get worried, because inside those areas are where we anticipate some spin-ups. Look right here toward Enfield too. Scotland Neck, there's been a couple little pockets kind of working through. This is not under a tornado warning. But certainly Enfield right now, just south of Enfield, getting hit with some high gusty winds, just moved through, and another pocket just to the west of you. And then there's Leggett, and here's Rocky Mount. If this continues on its path, it would be in Rocky Mount by 105. So we would be watching that in the next 15 minutes or so. Now, I know we have a lot of people watching who are not in the path of this tornado. And I know if we have kids who are watching, I know this can be scary, but we're here to try and help you get through it. Most areas right now not seeing a tornado warning. We're seeing heavy rainfall. Lots of flood warnings down to the south. Wayne County is under a flash flood warning. Wilson County as well. These are some of the rainfall totals coming in. Looking across Wake County, only almost an inch of rain in northeastern Wake County. But you get down here, over 7 inches of rain have fallen right now in Wilson and in Wayne County. Wilson County's had over 3 inches, almost 6 inches as you get out toward Greenville and Kinston, almost 6 inches there as well. Florence continuing to rotate through. We're watching this right here. That's the eye. Even by 3:30, look what happens. So we'll stop this around 8 o'clock. This is still drawing so much of this moisture up into us and keeping us in this moisture field with the rain showers that I really think we could see this heavy rain sticking with us overnight tonight. Here's 5:15 tomorrow. We're still seeing heavy bands of rain through the sandhills. That's why there are so many flash flood watches and warnings. And then these little pockets out here, that's where you get a little spin up. And so that's why we're under that tornado watch. The tornado watch is in effect until 5 o'clock tonight. Remember, a watch means we're watching the situation. But about 12 minutes ago now, 15 minutes ago, the National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning in effect for Edgecombe County, east of Rocky Mount, Tarboro area. This is now closing in on Tarboro. You can see the heavy rainfall right here. Tarboro's right in this area. So you're just about to get hit with this heavy band of showers. And embedded in that shower, you may see a rotation and a tornado. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado. Sometimes Doppler radar will detect the tornadoes start to spin up and it doesn't drop out of the sky, but we still warn for it because we'd rather have you in a safe place so that if it does drop, we see that. We've had several warnings. Okay, Steve's using what's called, this is great. This is a good tool showing some higher winds along here. This is called our velocity scope. We can actually use this kind of microscope. We can erase the radar and we can look at something else. So we're taking a look. Now we've taken the rain out of the picture. We're seeing the velocities there, and you can see this is the hail scope. Not seeing any hail. That's good news. A lot of times with a tropical storm, the core and warm air is so significant. We're seeing a little bit of shear that shows up sometimes in severe storms right there. You can see that area of shear marching in. So our shear detector on the scope detecting that as well. And then we've got the flash flood warnings out to the south and to the east. But Princeville, Rocky Mount, Tarboro, all part of this tornado warning as it works through. Let's go back to the storm relative velocity, Steve, if we could. Meteorologist Steve Stewart backing me here and giving me some great graphics and a great look. I think this thing is strengthened a little bit, unfortunately, and it's now moving just north of Tarboro. We detected it out here. And we're still seeing some strong gate-to-gate shear. When we say gate-to-gate shear, the green is the inbound, burgundy is the outbound. So we're looking at winds. When I say inbound, outbound, we're looking at winds and how the air is moving. So we see that wind moving in this direction right here, but then it starts to move opposite direction right there. ABC. Opposite direction, that's what puts it, unfortunately, that's what gives us that tornado warning and a possible spin up. Steve putting a path on this. Should this storm continue, it would be in the Rocky Mount area. It's slowed down a little bit. That would be about 105 to 110. Rocky Mount, you need to be sheltering right now.
Meteorologist Carly Cassidy, she's got more on the storm.
Yeah, we got the watches and warnings all the way up and along the coastline, like what we have been talking about this morning. Also talked about that we have the tornado watch off towards the coastline. Do have that tornado warning in place, just really off here, as you can see, into that red box where we have it for Rocky Mount, Tarboro, Princeville, and that goes until about 1:15 this afternoon. So just some things to keep in mind. Definitely got to stay updated. This is out towards the coastline, not impacting us back here at home. Only thing that we have back here for right now, that is that flash flood watch in place, but we will keep you updated, of course, as we do get any more of those watches and warnings in place.
All right, thanks a lot, Carly and Brian. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Hurricane Florence is causing extensive damage and flooding across North Carolina.
Our Mallory Lane is live in New Bern, which has a lot of damage and a lot of power outages. Mallory, what can you tell us?
Well, guys, the damage in New Bern is pretty incredible. We have made it to downtown New Bern, and we just keep hitting waves of this rain and this wind that's coming through right now. You can see on the roadway under my feet here, this is what we're seeing. There's water that's kind of pooling showing up on the sides of the road. And then just beyond me here, beyond this downed tree, which is similar to what we're seeing in a lot of locations downtown, the road just beyond that is blocked because there's so much water from the river that's nearby that has flooded into the street. And I'm going to have Chris pan to your left here, and I'm going to walk across the street. There's so much damage to these downtown buildings, and this is what we're seeing here. This storefront is the worst that we have seen. It looks to me as if the roof has caved in and fallen down, and that's what the front store damage that you see here, that's the roof. And it has knocked over the boards that you can see here. That was boarded up for the business. So, you know, just the water pouring down and the wind and the rain, it's just relentless here. This road is still open. We've seen plenty of people driving down it. There's some people right now. We've also seen some debris flying, so we are being careful, of course, as that happens. But really just what we're seeing here is a lot of debris down in the road, trees, branches from trees that have fallen into the roadway. And of course, the wind and the rain, I think, is the concern here as this water keeps pooling up into the roadways. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Mallory, and be safe out there, please. Of course, a lot of rain there, flooding issues, damage. We're also keeping a close eye on Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, that's where Travers Mackle is live this morning. Travers, what's the biggest change that you've noticed since your first reports earlier this morning?
Just the steady stream of rain that's coming in. It's nothing to frighten anybody right now. The most important thing is that it's just steady and it's not going to stop. It may be like this for hours, if not days, and that in turn could lead to flooding. It could lead to power outages, and that's the biggest concern right now. There is some concern about storm surge. Let me just kind of show you out right through here. That's the Atlantic. That is where Florence is still brewing. The bulk of it came ashore, but nonetheless, they are expecting storm surge to come through here, maybe possibly where we are right now. But the biggest fear for this area is the rain. About 4,000 people without power, and we are told that emergency responders, due to conditions right now, are not coming out in case anybody needs to be rescued. You're basically on your own. That's why they want people in Myrtle Beach and in parts of South Carolina to really shelter in place. Let's send it back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Travers. Well, that's going to do it for our report for WXII 12 News at noon. I'm Margaret Johnson.
And I'm Wanda Stark. Our special Hurricane Florence coverage continues all day on WXII 12.
We leave you now with more incredible live images from the coast as Florence moves onshore.
Plan this in case a tornado ever gets to your house. Some of the roads included that it will be working along Lake Valley Drive. Here's Harts Mill Run Road, Harts Chapel Road, Walnut Creek Lane, Wheatstone Lane on the north side of 64, Northwoods Country Road there. As you get into this, it looks like there's a little subdivision there, Walnut Creek Lane and Dunbar Road. Is that Pinolo Farm Road, Kingsborough Road, or Kungsborough Road? That's Kingsborough. I believe that's a typo in there because it says Kingsborough there. Antioch Road. Then as we go toward Mellon Road, Meadowbrook Road, we're running along 64 Pumpkin Street, and now we're starting to get into Rocky Mount and Baskerville School and Meadowbrook Park and East Virginia and Red Rose Lane on the east side of town, Cokie Road and Hill Street. We can actually see the areas this is headed toward, and if you're hearing me and you go, oh, Hill Street, that's near me. You need to be in a tornado shelter right now. We'll zoom it out real quick. We're keeping an eye on the rest of the region, and we'll take a look at some of the radar. Look for any others in the, I don't see any other rotations showing up here. That's good news. We've got that rotation there. We can look in that and see. Now we've got just possibly record amounts of rainfall happening over the next 2 days, and heavy rainfall going on in parts of Johnston County and also into Wayne County and now into Fayetteville. Fayetteville's had over 1 inch of rain, getting up toward 2 inches. The east side of town going to 2.5 and 3 inches. Wake County, rain's been relatively light. You've had light to moderate showers at times in Wake County, and then as you go north, the rain picking up a little bit through Person County. And I know, look at some of the wind gusts that have come in. These are not tornadoes. These are just straight line winds. In Fayetteville, this is real time. So as we get the latest high wind gusts, this board updates. Clinton, 48 miles an hour so far today. Goldsboro, 43 miles an hour so far. Wilson, 45. Sanford, 45. Fayetteville, 58. And RDU, 40 miles per hour. All right, let's take a look at the tropical winds. The highest winds are going to stay south other than these possible tornadoes and put this into motion by 6 o'clock tonight. That starts to move out of here. The hurricane winds will get out of here overnight into tomorrow morning. The tropical storm force winds, though, will last through I-95 and I-40, and then that pulls out of here as well. Let's go back to the radar, Steve, and let's take a look where that Edgecombe County tornado warning continues and see what we're seeing right now, and it is still highlighted. Now we're looking at the western half of the county. It's not the entire county. So, and one of the great things the National Weather Service does is, as this warning is issued, and it used to be in the olden days, it would be the whole county, and that would last until the expiration time. But as we get into the safe zone and you're out of that rotation, and this is our real-time radar, and look, we're seeing this heavy rain now get toward Rocky Mount. We'll zoom down in. Our radar is actually moving a little faster than their radar. They can see more with it, so they can actually see this rotation, this shear that we look for, those colors, those bright colors, but it's probably in this area now as it's moved down the road and we wait for an update. So if you're on Springfield Road, Leggett Road, Cox Avenue, 64 on the northeast side of town, Baskerville School, any of these places sound familiar? Do you live near Stith-Talbert Park? Do you live near East Virginia Street in Rocky Mount? Do you live near, there's a sports complex on the north side, just north of 301 and 64. If you live near those, you should be sheltering in place right now as this works in, and we continue to see this tornado warning from Leggett through Tarboro into Rocky Mount, and this is working off to the west. And we'll continue to see this pressing in. Sharpsburg also seeing some showers, some thunderstorms, and heavy thunderstorms, but 64 right now is what we're watching as our live radar updates on each scan and shows this storm moving closer to Rocky Mount. I think Tarboro, if you're watching, you're in the clear now. So in Tarboro, you're in the clear from the rotation of this storm. Right now, it's past you. It went on the north side of town. This pocket of rotation went through Tarboro, and now it's on the northwest side of town. So if you're watching in Tarboro, you're in the clear. But if you're watching in Rocky Mount, you need to be sheltering in place right now. There's no more waiting. It is on your doorstep, and it is working in. And that's going to work across 301 and 64 in the next 10 minutes or so. A little bit of rotation. It looks like, yeah, I see that, Steve. Steve zoomed out a little bit. Little possible rotation showing up there west of Bethel as well. And even southeast of Pine Tops. We're just seeing these little, you will see a lot of these. As these little pockets of showers get going and they're working around the hurricane, you'll start to see it spin up. And some of these spin-ups just happen real quick and then they're gone. They'll last one or two little scans and then they're gone. But this one, it stuck around and it got bigger and it got wider, and that's why we're monitoring this tornado warning right now as it works through Edgecombe County into Rocky Mount. Rocky Mount and the northeast side of Rocky Mount. You're in heavy rain now. You're in the rain shield with this storm. This is our radar, and you can see the heaviest rain is right over Rocky Mount, and it's right in this area. It's right here that you would see the possible tornado. So if you're in Rocky Mount and you're listening, this warning goes for about another 14 minutes. If the rotation continues, you should be in an interior room of your house. If you're just joining us, it is 1 o'clock. We welcome you to continuing coverage of Hurricane Florence. We are right now monitoring a tornado warning that is happening in Edgecombe County. We'll have much more on all the headlines coming up in just a bit. We'll check in with our reporters in the field. John and Barbara are getting facts and figures from around the area. We'll go back to them in just a few minutes. But at the moment, we're watching a severe weather situation in Edgecombe County. That tornado warning in effect until 1:15, and it is set its bullseye in northeastern Rocky Mount as it's pulling closer and closer. And we're kind of chasing our radar here. Our radar shows where the actual rain is, but our radar doesn't always do a great job with the rotation. National Weather Service radar does a great job showing where the rotation is, but it takes a little longer for us to process that information and get it in because it's such a big volume of information that comes with each scan from the National Weather Service. So here's the heavy rain right now, just working into Rocky Mountain. As our radar beam goes through here, it'll actually update that as it moves closer to us. What do we got here, Steve-O?
I was trying arm velocity.
Oh, yeah, see, so this is our radar velocity. We can see a little gate to gate, but our radar is not as adept at picking up the velocities as National Weather Service radar is. That's why we use them to see where the rotation is happening, and then we can use our radar to see, because their radar might update every 4 to 6 minutes as we get all that information in. It's a lot of information. It's great radar. It shows us a lot of stuff, but it can take a few minutes to update. Our radar updates instantaneously. You just saw the beam go through. So let's switch back to our radar and we'll at least show you where the rainfall is. Our radar, again, not showing the velocity great, but it is showing this heavy band of showers. They're shrinking this down now to western Edgecombe County. It's not the entire county. If you're watching and you see on the bottom of your screen a tornado warning for Edgecombe County, it's the western third now of Edgecombe County until 1:15. It's not the entire county, but we see this area of showers and thunderstorms now working into Rocky Mount. The heavy rain right here, I would guess the rotation is somewhere in this area. So if we're seeing it, Rocky Mount Sports Complex, Baskerville School, Wilkinson School, 64 on the northeast side of town. There's County Road 97 as it heads north out of town and heads off to the east. This is the area in question right now. Steve's going in and giving us those great street levels, showing us the actual street names, Leggett Road, Springfield Road, seeing this area of rotation, Aztec Avenue, Emerald Lane, Castle Drive. I like to name some of these roads off because you might be sitting at home and you're going, he just said mine. Because hopefully you're not watching. If you're in Rocky Mount, you're tucked away waiting for this thing to pass over you. And if you're a child and you're home, I know a lot of kids are home from school today. Every kid's home from school. I think all the schools are closed today. This can be scary. But it's also a time when we've practiced. You've talked with your teachers. This is the time now to get into your tornado safe space, to cover your head, to get a nice big thick blanket over your head, and just ride this storm out as it works through. We'll put a storm path on this. Should this continue, it's working at about 45 miles an hour, so it is flying. Passing through Rocky Mount, the rotation puts it at 111, but this may be a little off. It's 105 right now. Let's say it's happening now or within the next 5 minutes. Should the storm continue, it would be in the Nashville area. And you can see Nashville about 125. If it holds together, I think it's going to go north of Spring Hope. It's kind of tracking in this narrow part of the cone. The cone spreads out because a lot of times these storms will spread out as they work out to the west. But this guy right here, boy, we're still seeing strong rotation in that. Look at that. They just issued a tornado warning. It's just coming across right now. And it's because we're seeing such strong, I will wait on the details to pop up. It's flashing. We now have a new tornado warning, and this one is for Nash County, and it looks like the eastern portion of Franklin County. A tornado warning now in effect. There it is, Franklin and Nash counties until 1:45. You saw it live on the air as it was issued by the National Weather Service. This possible tornado tracking along US 64 in Rocky Mount. It's now headed toward Nashville, possibly affecting Red Oak and Spring Hope, and then tracking off to the west. Boy, we just put a track on that. Nice job, Steve Stewart. He put that track on there and put it right where it needed to be. Steve, one of the best in the business when it comes to tracking this stuff. So let's he's going to put another path on this and give you some timing. When's it going to affect me? Nashville. If you've been watching in Nashville and you're watching this happen, now is the time in Nashville to shelter in place. Now is the time that we need to see you getting to your safe spot. Thanks, Steve-O. Let's see. Flying debris could be dangerous with this storm to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage will happen. This is from the National Weather Service. Steve just printed this out for me. That tornado warning now for central Nash County in central North Carolina and eastern and central Franklin County until 1:45. At 1:05, while we were on the air, Doppler radar indicating a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Rocky Mount, moving west at 45 miles per hour. And flying debris is going to be a problem. Hopefully you listened to us as we were in the early stages. Even Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, folks were asking, what can I do to get my house ready for the storm? As the storm approaches, as Florence gets closer, one of the things we said is bring your stuff in. All right, so now we're zoomed in on Rocky Mount. So now Baskerville School to the Rocky Mount Sports Complex. This is the rotation we're seeing. Green indicating the inbound toward the radar. Red burgundy indicating the outbound. This is where the rotation would be indicated in the National Weather Service radar. Everybody's used to seeing radar. Yeah, look at that. Steve's able to put the rotation on there. Everybody's used to seeing radar and seeing the greens and seeing the yellows and seeing the reds, and you go, oh, that's where the rain is. Oh, that's where the heavy rain is. But we can use radar for several different things. It's an amazing piece of technology. Not only does it show us where the rain is, it will show us which way those raindrops are pointed. Are they going this way, this way, this way? And so it detects this rotation, and that rotation happening right now, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And man, I don't know if it's getting closer to the red. It's just getting stronger. I think this could be a tornado, folks. I mean, it's a Doppler radar indicated tornado, but all the markers are there to see Doppler, to see a tornado, really, especially from Rocky Mount up 301. Let's switch back to our radar for a sec, Steve, if we could. Okay, it's the same. So this is it. Our radar does a better job showing us where the rain and the heavy cell is. National Weather Service radar does a better job of showing where the rotation is. It's one of those trade-offs you get both. We get our radar instantaneously. National Weather Service radar takes a little while, so that's why we use both. And it's this marriage of this technology that really makes such an amazing tool for us, because having our radar, the most powerful radar in the Carolinas, we can see this shower now. It's almost done in Edgecombe County. Now we're talking Nash County and eastern Franklin County. And again, if you are watching us and you are in Nashville, if you are in central portions, Castalia, you need to be sheltering right now. You need to be going to your safe spot. Anywhere in central Nash County, if you're in the northern edge and you live right up by the border, I think you're going to be fine. If you live down toward the southern portion, I think you're going to be fine. But Nashville, it is on you. It is 109. This storm is in your neighborhood in 6 minutes or less. So you should take the kids, get to your safe spot. If you're just joining us, let's show them those safe spots again, Steve, can we? The safest place to go in your house. So if you're in your house, the safest place you can go, not upstairs. Stay away from the upstairs. Stay away from the upper story of your house. Stay away from the garage or those big open areas. They're a bad place to be. You want to go to the lower level of your house. You want to go to the interior room of your house. Here we go. Steve's showing us exactly. Yeah, if you live in a house, stay away from that top floor. Stay away from above the garage. You don't want to be in that second story. Most damage to a house will occur on the second story. If nothing else, it may just take the roof off, and you're up by the roof. You don't want to be there. You want to be down. And because most injuries occur from flying glass or flying debris, you don't want to be near a window. And do not go open a window. That's an old wives' tale. You don't do that. You don't need to go do that anymore. There was an old saying that you open a window, it would help. If my mom always did it when I was a kid. We had tornadoes all the time in Iowa. She'd always go open the window. That doesn't work. The pressure difference is not that great. Your house is going to get destroyed by the winds before the pressure. So don't mess around with windows. Get to this room. Get to an interior room. If you don't have an interior room, get to an interior hallway. We have a tornado watch in effect, and this is exactly why this tornado watch is in place, is because these yellow areas, you could see a tornado. It does include Wake County. It does include Harnett County. Now, a watch means we're watching the situation. A warning means it's happening, and that's why we're watching this area of showers right now that is now getting on the west side of Rocky Mount, and it's headed toward right there, I-95. It's just crossing I-95. You could see some rotation along I-95 as well. If you were listening on the radio, I know we're down in the Sandhills. I know we're on G105 and many of the iHeart radio stations. If you are listening on the radio and you're listening to us right now and you're traveling I-95 and you are near Halifax Crossing, stop. Take the next exit and don't go through that area until this passes through. Area of rotation from Mount Drive now to Hunter Hill Road, South Winstead. You can see this is on the northwest side of Rocky Mount now, and it continues to work just like this. Nashville, it's coming right at you. I'm telling you, you need to be sheltering right now in Nashville and points to the east of Nashville. There's where 64 crosses I-95. Steve's going to give us some roads. North Halifax Road, Candlewood, English Road, North Winstead Avenue. Here's Bessie Lane, just west of 95 and north of I-64, Arrow Road, north Old Carriage Road. We've got West Hampton Drive there, Eastern Avenue, and then South East Point, and then here's Nashville. And especially on Womble Road out of Nashville, Frederick Cooper Lane, Red Oak Road, excuse me, Eastern Avenue in Nash. This is coming right at you with a possible tornado. We're watching this. We don't have any cameras in the area, so we can't confirm this, but I will say that this area of rotation has been around a while and it has strengthened. It started off as a small area of rotation around 12:45 this afternoon, and that's when they issued that first warning for the area. Now, I know we've got viewers from around the area, so again, I'm going to say the warning one more time, then we're going to go through radar a little bit and talk about some other regions real quick. But Nash County and eastern Franklin County, you are under that tornado warning now for at least the next 15 minutes. So you need to be sheltering in those counties, and we'll keep an eye on that. Now let's talk radar real quick while you've got it zoomed out. Heavy rain continues to fall down here in portions of Johnston County, Goldsboro. Those little pictures that show up, like right there, that is a National Weather Service observer site. Lots of observations coming to us out of Goldsboro, and we can actually get that information. That is a report of heavy rain in Goldsboro. This came in about a half hour ago. Wayne County, they've had 4.2 inches of rainfall in Wayne County, and so that's just one of the many storm reports. National Weather Service actually certifies storm chasers and people who can be reporters, and they will get these weather reports in. Boy, there's a lot of, yeah, let's just click on a couple of these, Steve. This is a flash flood. Road closed due to flooding at North Herman Street and Atlantic Avenue in Goldsboro, Wayne County. We got a couple of these around here. There's another one. Flash flood, road closed due to flash flooding at South Herman Street in Goldsboro. And then we've got a third one here. Road closed now for flash flooding at Olivia Lane, St. John Street in Goldsboro, and that was reported around 2 o'clock. So lots of flooding starting to show up in the Goldsboro area, unfortunately, and I think Goldsboro and Wayne County, you're just going to see that get worse and worse and worse. We continue to monitor this. Well, look, go back north. Can you, Steve? Go back north. This is one of those. No, go over here real quick. Yeah, we had an actual report of a tornado earlier from one of these cells near Skinnersville, and you can see this is a National Weather Service observation that came in. A tornado damage reported off Winston Farm Road in Mary Hill. That's in Bertie County. So they actually had a public sighted a tornado on a tree, and you can see that was an actual tornado on the ground. Sometimes these tornado warnings turn out not to be an actual tornado. All right, it's 1:15. Our computer's still catching up, so as soon as it reaches 1:15, Edgecombe County, there it did, just as I said it. Edgecombe County, you're now in the clear. Rocky Mount, you're in the clear from this storm. Now we're watching the storm approach Nashville. It's this area right here crossing over I-95. Like I said, there's the rotation, and it is on your doorstep, Nashville. It will be in Nashville. If it's not already, it'll be there in the next 2 minutes. This thing is moving. What was the speed on that? I want to say it was 45 miles per hour. 55 on this one. So it actually picked up speed, producing a tornado located originally near Rocky Mount, and it is moving west at 45 miles per hour. So that's the speed of it. It puts it, Steve will put a couple cities on there. Nashville, it's there. You're in it. Spring Hope, it looks like it may go north of Spring Hope, but you still should shelter because you're in that cone, and if it just makes a little turn, well, actually you should shelter because, well, look at this back here. I don't like that either, Steve. West of Sharpsburg, it looks like there's a little rotation starting to show up there as well. And we will see these little pockets of rotation show up around a hurricane as it spins. You will see these pockets. Bunn, you could see that showing up in your area as well. And so that's kind of the rub for the National Weather Service. They see a lot of these spin up, and they'll have to determine, they use computers and algorithms to determine what cells could go, what cells will not go. And at this point, it's this cell right here, west of I-95 now. It's just crossed over I-95 where we're seeing the rotation, and that is working out of the Rocky Mount area. And now that rotation is showing up here. You're seeing some video from around the area that we are getting in. We have been watching video come in of storm damage. This was an ABC store that was damaged by winds earlier today. Wind gusts in the region have gone as high as, in our area, have gone as high as 54 miles an hour. But we saw wind speeds near 105 miles an hour. That is the highest wind speed they had in Wilmington in over 50 years. And so now we're watching this cell, this area of rotation here that's around I-95 west of Rocky Mount, headed toward Nashville. That will continue to work off to the west. And as it works closer to Nashville, near South Alston Street, you should be sheltering at this time. I think this is right on your doorstep, Nashville. It's now 117. I think it's there. We're waiting on the National Weather Service to update, but Southeast Point Avenue, this little subdivision coming off of Eastern Avenue near Forest View Drive, it's there. It's on you. And you should be sheltering in place on Nashville Commons and Eastern Avenue. And then as we work west a little bit, East Washington Avenue, East Church Street. Now we're in downtown Nashville. There's Nash School there and Green School, if you're familiar with that area. South Clark Street on the west side out here by 64, J.S. Glover Park, North Alston Avenue. All of those places, if you're hearing me say the name of that place, it is on you and it is there. And this is rotation. Now, we do not have a confirmed report of a tornado just yet, and you're also seeing damage over here on this side of the screen. This is out of New Bern this morning, where they've had some building collapses. They've had trees collapse, and we will be seeing video coming in from across the region. But this is not the tornado. This is Florence video, and we're going to show you some of the great video. We've got such hard-working photographers and reporters out there. To all those people out there, boy, just thank you. And to you, thank you for making us part of your day. Here's the rotation. Look at that down there. That's a little bit of rotation, too. It's not determined as a tornado, but certainly the atmosphere there, yeah, west of Bethel, that thing's been kind of spinning there, too. Not saying that's a tornado, but we'll see a lot of this as we go through the afternoon, and it's going to get worse. I did a Facebook Live around lunchtime, 11:30 today on the ABC 11 page. If you go to the ABC 11 page, you can watch it. So many people were saying to me, it's not here yet. Is it ever going to happen? Yes. Nature works on its own clock. It doesn't work on the Amazon clock where it can deliver something to you in an hour. It comes at its own speed, unfortunately. And Steve, did they? Oh, no, it's just shut off here. The heaviest rain down in Goldsboro. We're getting now several reports from the National Weather Service of flooding in Goldsboro. Several streets are closed in Wayne County. 7.3 inches have fallen on the north side of, now it's up to 8. He just gave me the latest updated rainfall totals. He's throwing some rainfall totals in there. 6.5 inches south of Smithfield, 5.5 inches down here as you get south of Wayne County. 7.7 inches, so I think Goldsboro, and you're in for more rain. It's 120. It could rain there for another 10 hours. So that's why Wayne County is under that flash flood warning. Sampson County is under a flash flood warning. Actually, we have a lot of counties under a flash flood warning. Though we talk about tornadoes, and they are a nasty area of weather. Flooding actually kills more people every year than tornadoes. Okay, Steve, now I see you're zooming it out. Did you shut off the warning, or have they canceled the warning for that area? Oh, no, there it is. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just making sure. Sometimes they can cancel a warning and it will drop off our radar. And so that's just something my eye keeps an eye out for. And it's this central area right there. That's where the rotation would be now. It's in Nash right now. There's the rotation. Actually, I think it's probably right over Nashville. We're waiting on the radar update from the National Weather Service. But right there, yeah, see, it's updating, and it's right in Nashville. So Nashville now, you better be in your safe spot if you live in Meredith Woods Court, East Park Avenue, Elm Street right now on this side of town, North Winstead Street. Down to the south, we're seeing East Church, East Green, and this is downtown Nashville, Elm Street there. There's North First Street in this area, and it is working through downtown Nashville, J.S. Glover Memorial Park, Westwood Circle. If you live on Westwood Circle, get in your safe spot. It is there. And unfortunately, this thing, boy, it looks like it's gotten even bigger. And we just continue to see this rotation grow in the atmosphere. The green indicating, the bright green indicates the inbound winds. The burgundy indicates the outbound winds. And so this is where that rotation is happening as that's pressing off to the west. And we'll continue to watch that moving through. We're not seeing any hail. That's the positive news. Not seeing a ton of lightning. We're just seeing this rotation and possible Doppler radar indicated tornado. We haven't had any confirmations of tornadoes yet. We're monitoring the National Weather Service chat room. And should they issue any spotter details, I know the spotters, National Weather Service has a whole spotter network, and those poor men and women are just getting hammered today between all the flooding spotting and all the Florence spotting. Now they may not have a spotter right now able to check this out, but we are watching this. Spring Hope, this is about to pass near you. Bunn, let's look at the timing of this. Bunn, it would be in your area. 1:39, so that's about 17 minutes from now if it holds together. Barham 1:49, Wake Forest 1:56, Leesville 2:11, and this is just the start of what I think could be an active tornado afternoon. I think we could see a few more tornadoes starting to fire around the region, all around this giant area of rotation. Florence is so big. I mean, this thing is almost 500 miles wide. It takes up 2 states, and so here's the eye. It rotates this northern edge as the storms get going. They get the speed of the system as it's rotating through. It's pulling through, and then it'll get rotation inside of each of those cells. And so when you see that rotation show up in each of those cells, that's where we see the possible tornadoes showing up. Oh, we just got an update 1 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center now. It's still Category 1. It's down to 75 miles an hour, so the wind speed has dropped 5 miles an hour. It continues to drift west at 6 miles an hour. That has not changed. The pressure has gone up a little bit. It's now located 30 miles west-southwest of Wilmington, North Carolina. It's expected to be in the Myrtle Beach area by 8 o'clock tonight. By tomorrow morning, it's in South Carolina. Even if it's on the northern edge, it's still in South Carolina. Florence headed for Florence. My neighbor said that. And then we'll see that turning into a tropical low and then racing up the Appalachians. And then it's in Pittsburgh by Monday night into Tuesday. And we're finally done with this storm that we've been dealing with for so very long. A live look at First Alert Radar right now, and we're looking for the latest tornado warnings. And we have this tornado warning we are watching here. This tornado warning issued for Franklin and Nash counties until 1:45. This afternoon. Franklin, Nash, Bunn, Nashville, Spring Hope, all in this. So let's take a look, Steve. Where this is our latest radar right here. Yeah, great. And it's this area right here. So different meteorologists work and specialize and learn about different things. One of the things I've really worked on is looking at radar signatures and learning where this can be. And in Nashville right now, this is where this rotation is happening. And this is working right along US 64. Here's Spring Hope. Spring Hope, you could be in play on the southern side of the storm. On the northern side of the storm, that's State Highway 58 as it heads out of town. Corbett Road, Avens Lane, Vic Road, White Oak Road, J.S. Glover School. It's just passing you right now. It is moving down 64. If you're hearing the name of some of these places, Maumeyer, what is that? Sanctified Church Road, Earl Road, Tresser Loop Road, US 64, and Old Country Road. And then even further as you get towards Spring Hope, yeah, this is 581, County Highway 581, moving off to the north and to the west. And then this will continue to work right along 64 and towards Spring Hope. But Nashville, you're almost in the clear. Stay in your shelter a little bit longer. Don't come out and look just yet if you're in the Nashville area. And then this is pushing off toward eastern Franklin County. Now, also look at the heavy rain. Now, this is getting around our radar site. So it does look a little heavier as it gets closer to the radar. Excuse me. One of our great behind-the-scenes folks just brought me a sip of water. I'm going to take a drink real quick. Thank you so much, Patty, for bringing that in. We see this heavy rain right now along US 64. There's Bailey. This is eastern Wake County, so this is north of Wake County in the warned area. Bunn. It's coming to you, Bunn, in eastern Franklin County. This is the cell we're watching now, this heavy batch right here. I think it's east of Nashville now. We're not going to give it all clear yet to Nashville. You still should be tucked in. But I think for the most part, it's clearing Nashville. And now it's working towards Spring Hope. Bunn is right here. And it is headed right toward just due west on a track there. We can hope that it would dissipate a little bit, but this thing has not changed since we went on the air about, I'd say about 45 minutes ago with this tornado warning now. It worked its way through Edgecombe. It's working its way through Nash County, and it's working its way toward Franklin County. We're seeing little pockets of rotation as well show up. Look at this guy. I don't like this one either. Right there at the end, southwest of Bethel and south of Tarboro. And we'll see these little pockets of rotation all day long. That's one of the challenges the great men and women have at the National Weather Service. Can't say enough about those good folks and all the work they do. Today, they're going to see a lot of these spin-ups, possible spin-ups, and it's deciding which ones break that threshold, whether it's really, is it just some rotation in the atmosphere, or is it really a tornado? Now this one, it's pretty, we're seeing some pretty bright colors. And when you see that bright of green there, and you see this dark of burgundy, that's good. That's a good indicator that you've got a tornado spinning up in that area and working off towards Spring Hope, Castalia, and now Bunn, south of Castalia, now Bunn, Spring Hope and Bunn. Spring Hope, you should be sheltering right now. You need to just leave your TV up so you can hear what's going on, and you need to get into your, don't watch TV. You should be getting into your safe space in Spring Hope. So there's Castalia to the north. It's this cell right here. Steve, can we go in on this a little, please? Oh, no, we'll do this first. This is great. So if you're just joining us, we're coming up on 1:30. The bottom of the hour, you're watching continuing coverage on ABC 11 of Hurricane Florence as it continues to work through. We are monitoring a tornado warning, a possible tornado. Doppler radar indicated that tornado is moving, has moved through Edgecombe. Edgecombe is clear. We're now watching it move into Nash County and headed toward Franklin County. This is the second tornado warning for Franklin County. The other one happened this morning around 3:15. The best place to be, avoid windows, go to the lowest floor of your house, interior hallway or bathroom. Bathrooms are great, especially with a tub. The sides of the tub are nice and hard, and then you pull a big old thick blanket or even a mattress over you. You're in a nice little cocoon there. You're protected from any of that flying debris. You want to get low and cover your head. And kids, if you've practiced this in schools, some schools do tornado warnings. You get down in your safe space, you put your hands over your head like this, and you tuck down and you wait till this thing passes over. And I promise you, I'll tell you when it's done in your area and when it's safe to get back up. Rocky Mount, it is safe. It's out of your area now. They've shrunk the cone on this just a little bit. Let's go down in and see where the back edge of this is now. This is Nash, and I think in Nash, you're in the clear now. If you're watching in Nash, I would say you're in the clear from the storm. If you're in Spring Hope, you need to be sheltered because it's right on top of you. And it's working through western Nash County, and it is headed toward Franklin County, in effect for another 15 minutes as it rotates through, and we watch that press off to the west. You can see this area, this tornado warning, this shear, this rotation in here, this burgundy area. And notice, so there's a lot of spaces where you might be seeing green and you might be seeing burgundy, and you're going, how can you tell there's a tornado? And this bright spot right here, when we see this bright green here and when we see this burgundy here, that's where the wind is going one way and then it's rotating through on the back side, and this is where that rotation is, and that rotation is happening right now in the atmosphere, and that's where a tornado could be spinning up. Montmire, we mentioned it earlier, this is north of Mount Zion Church Road. You are in it right now as it's passing over you. This is Bass Road. This is Old Franklin Road, North Old Franklin Road to be specific. And what is this up here? Sanctified Church Road. That area running to the north of 64. That is where we are seeing, look, it just updated, and it's the area we're talking about. This is where the rotation is going through. This is the area of possible tornado. I don't know if we have
last night, as well as some EMT teams, and they'll be here to assist. Once the storm calms down, they're going to be out trying to help people and find anyone that has been hurt or in a collapsed building in the storm. I spoke to Brunswick County Sheriff John Ingram earlier about possible looting. They had arrested a few people last night that had allegedly been trying to steal, and they want people to keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. I also saw a Facebook post in a Wilmington group that they had seen some suspicious people. So if you have evacuated and you still have neighbors that are staying in their homes, ask them to keep an eye out for any suspicious activity, ask them to report that to the police. We were also told by Brunswick County that if you are out of power, do not contact the Emergency Operations Center. Contact your power company. That is the best way for them to know where power is down so they can respond accordingly. Now, we're not sure quite when the eye is going to pass over us. It is still pretty calm here. And we will give you an update as soon as we find out that that generator power at West Brunswick High School has been restored. But everyone here at the Emergency Operations Center is working very hard and just trying to do the best that they can for the citizens of Brunswick County. But for now, live in Brunswick County, Matt Bennett, WWAY News. Back to you in the studio.
All right. Well, Scott and Monique talked about how powerful that eye wall of a storm can be. If you didn't believe it, here's a video to prove it. This is video of strong wind and rain. This is in Leland when the eye wall of the storm hit Leland.
It's good to point out this is the eye wall, not the eye.
Right.
So, of course, this was early this morning in Leland, and that is showing some major force.
And as we've learned today, the eye wall is, the part of it where you see the heaviest wind, the heaviest activity. And as you can see, I mean, the wind is blowing so hard on those trees, they are spanking them around. And did I get it right, Scott?
Yeah, and that's a Category 1 storm.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, can you imagine if this has been 3
We have
or 4?
learned today, eye wall, the strongest part.
Yep, that's right.
And honestly, looking at this, I really do. I mean, I hate to say this, I really do think if this would have been a 3, if this is what a 1 can do, I mean, I don't know. I mean, would a 3 pick those cars up, Scott?
Well, here's the thing: when you compare storms in categories, a 1, if you compare a 1 to a 3, it's 50 times stronger. A 3 is 50 times stronger than a 1. When you get up to a 4, the damage, the energy goes up exponentially. So then you're talking about from a 3 to a 4 compared to a 1 is 200 times.
So those cars would have been picked up more than likely at that point.
Well, there are a lot of factors that go into that, but yeah, the power is a lot more. We would have seen not only more trees down, but we probably would have seen more just simply structural damage.
Right.
You start seeing structure damage with buildings starting to fail with those type of winds.
Wow.
Well, Florence is still dropping rain on our area, but plans for hurricane relief are underway. NBA Hall of Famer and Wilmington native Michael Jordan is working on a platform to help hurricane victims. Jordan, who currently owns the Charlotte Hornets, says the NBA family is working with community organizations to provide relief and support to those affected by Hurricane Florence. Quote, "It's truly devastating for me to see the damage that Hurricane Florence is doing to my beloved home state of North Carolina and to the surrounding areas. Please join me, the Hornets organization, and the NBA and donate to one of the local organizations assisting in the relief and recovery efforts." Jordan.
I know we've got Jonah Kaplan down there. He's going to see his highest winds this evening. But look up here. It's got this huge body of warm, moist air to tap into to make rain out of, and it's going to be pulling that up across us and into our area. And so we will see these showers tonight, and then this is 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We moved it ahead. Look what's happening. We're still seeing heavy showers, especially into the sandhills. We'll talk potential impacts. We'll continue to watch that, but we're going to talk potential impacts for a moment, because the biggest question I get is, how does this affect me? Okay, this whole storm, what's it mean for me? Well, in our northern counties, you're talking 3 to 5 inches of rain. You could see wind gusts 30 to 40 miles an hour. Now, look what happens when you get south. This is where tropical storms can be difficult. So notice Lewisburg and Nashville, you're in the moderate category. You're in the second lowest category. You could see winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. 15 to 30 mile an hour winds, gusts 35 to 40 miles an hour. But you've got a tornado warning going on. So that doesn't mean you're in the clear. It just means your impacts won't be as high as some of the areas unless you get a tornado in your neighborhood. Smithfield, Lillington, Sanford, into Moore County, Wilson and Tarboro, 10 to 15 inches of rain possible. Winds 30 to 40 miles an hour, gusts going to 50 miles an hour. And then we'll slide south and you get into those extreme impacts that are possible in our southern counties. We've got flash flood warnings now for Rayford. We've got it for Lumberton. We've got it for Cumberland County and Fayetteville. We've got a flash flood warning now in Clinton. Goldsboro, roads are actually being shut down in Goldsboro. We've had roads shut down. 3 reports so far from National Weather Service spotters or emergency management of roads in downtown Goldsboro and around Goldsboro being shut down because of flooding. You've seen over 7 inches of rain in Wayne County, and you're going to see more. Those, oh, look at that now. This is moved to the north. Now we've got Edgecombe County under a flash flood warning as well. Again, flash flood warnings. Flash flooding kills more people than tornadoes. Used to be the #1 killer in the U.S. Heat is the #1 killer now, but flash flooding is the #2 too killer. And that's why I think flooding is just as dangerous as tornadoes. People see it, they think they can drive through it. A lot of the deaths with Matthew, unfortunately, occurred from people trying to drive through areas they never should have tried to make it through. Now, we've seen training with these storms, and this is going to cause flooding. It's called training because you get one batch of showers that works through, you get another batch of showers that works through, and that saturates the ground. You get another batch of showers that works through. That one can cause flash flooding because the ground's held as much water as it can. It's called training because each cell that works through looks like a train car. One works through, then the next one works through, and then the caboose works through, and it dumps a ton of rainfall. We continue to watch this tornado warning right now. We are on with continuing coverage of Hurricane Florence. I'm meteorologist Don Schweneker, meteorologist Steve Stewart working the computer as well. We have been tracking this tornado now for about an hour. Live tornado coverage. Now the warning has shrunk. Now it's north of Spring Hope. This is the possible rotation we're seeing on the northwest side of Spring Hope. If you're in Spring Hope, I think you're in the clear. You can come out of your shelter spots. Now it's working off toward Bunn. It will work off. It looks like it's tracking just to the north of Bunn. There's 7 Pass, Hunts up to the north. Here's Cheyenne Drive. We're going to show you some of the streets out there: Rawhide Drive, Lake Royale, Sequoia Drive, Sledge Road, Sagamore Drive, Shawnee Drive, excuse me, and then Thomas Gray Road down there is where it's working across now. Here's County Highway 39. There's 98 down to the south. That's where the rotation is working through. It is headed toward Dunn. This tornado warning goes for another 7 minutes to 1:45. Now, it has weakened considerably. That's good news, but you are not in the clear just yet. We will not stop until we get the all clear from the National Weather Service, because if you're in Bunn and you're watching right now, you need to be sheltered. Even though it looks like it's weakening and it's approaching you, it's getting closer, you need to be in your safe place. In that lower part of your house, you need to be in a closet or a hallway. You need to be covered with a thick blanket. You should have your hands up over your heads, down on your knee and your tummy, and just waiting for this thing to go over. Then I'll give you the all clear. You're clear in Nash, you're clear in Spring Hope, but now along Cheyenne Drive, you need to be sheltered east of Bunn, 7 Paths, south of 7 Paths now, and we go down in, and then we've got Sequoia Drive, there's Rawhide Drive, Wounded Knee Drive, Buckaroo Drive, Lake Royale, Nashua Drive, Sagamore Drive, Seminole Drive, Shawnee Drive, Baptist Church Road, all of these roads. There's Eldridge as it drops off of Baptist Church Road, and then Wester Way goes up to the north. East Carolina Avenue, Hollingsworth Street, 39 and 98 come together in Bunn, just south north of Bunn High School. That's the area that you need to be sheltering right now as this is approaching your area. Steve, can we go back to live radar for a second? Let's take a look and see where this heaviest rainfall is, because that live radar gives us an idea. Yeah, it's right here, right in this area. This is where that possible rotation is, and you can see that heavy rain now just southeast of Bunn. Boy, where that red is, that's where you're just getting pounded with heavy rainfall as it continues to work through. That tornado warning going for another 5 minutes now. Bunn and then west of 64, eastern Franklin County. Ooh, look at some of these rainfall rates. Wow. We are seeing 4.5 inches of rainfall, 4.5 inch rainfall per hour. So it doesn't mean you'll get 4.5 inches, but that's the rate. How hard is it falling? And it is rare for us to see those rainfall rates above 3 or 4 inches, and we are seeing it today in several spots, and that is why we have so many flash flood watches and warnings out. As a matter of fact, Nash County and Edgecombe County, you're now under a flash flood warning. It's because of this, because you've got that area of heavy showers working through and putting down so much rain so quickly. Now, if you notice back to the west, we're seeing a little bit of a possible break in the rain. This is our radar, so sometimes if it's punching through heavy rain, it can't see what's behind it, but oh yeah, we are seeing some breaks. That's good. We need to dry out for a few minutes before the next round of rain rotates up to the north. But it's all rotating around that center of rotation that is down in the southern part of the state. You're talking towards Sunset Beach and Myrtle Beach. As you get down toward Myrtle Beach and Murrells Inlet, those areas seeing the heaviest of the rain showers right now. Oak Island, Wilmington, there's where the eye is, and it's drifting west at 6 miles an hour. Now, it has weakened since it's encountered land. That system now showing the the wind speeds around 80 miles an hour. It was at 100 almost as it was getting close to land earlier this morning. And the heavy rain now rotating around Lumberton. You can see that as it works through. A live look at radar right now. Latest satellite picture showing the rotation. It picks out that rotation. And where those darkest colors are, that's where those thick clouds are. The coolest part of the atmosphere is that's where we're seeing the heaviest rainfall. Look at the movement of this. You can see it's slowly moving to the north, and it's got so much moisture back in here to tap into that it's going to continue to pull it up across us and continue to give us those rain showers through the afternoon and into the evening hours. We have 2 warnings to tell you about. We'll be back to that one in a moment. There's another tornado warning down to the coast. We have a tornado watch in effect that does include Wake County into Lillington. We're also taking a look at this tornado watch extending up toward Lewisburg and then down to the south and to the east. We continue to watch a tornado warning in Franklin and Nash counties expiring in 3 minutes. Oh, that rotation has really gone down. Boy, that is good news. It's almost fallen apart. I think the National Weather Service will allow this to expire in 3 minutes. You still should be, I'm sorry? It has expired, so they've allowed it to expire. It just hasn't expired yet on our thing. So that is good news. So we are done with the tornado warnings for now. That will clear in just a moment. We continue to see heavy rainfall. We'll talk much more about that. We've got a look at some of the wind speeds coming in across the region. We're still seeing wind gusts. Fayetteville, you made it up into the 54-mile-an-hour range, and you could get near 60 as we go into the afternoon. Steve Stewart will check on some of those wind speeds for you. We'll check on some of the other warnings, all the flood warnings we've got, too. That's coming up for you in just a couple of minutes. John and Barbara, we'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Don.
Don, excellent job there.
Yes.
I'm glad that those warnings are over with.
I am, too. And he just brought up Cumberland County. Let's go to our Morgan Norwood, and we've just finished a press conference there to get an update on the situation there.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to get started. Before we do, I just want to make it known that due to the weather, we weren't able to get a sign language interpreter here today, so our apologies for that. Good afternoon. We have a very serious situation on our hands. We want to update you and give you the best information that we can. We want to thank all of our partners that are here today, and I will introduce them individually as we go through the list so they can give you the best and most recent information regarding Hurricane Florence and its impact on the city of Fayetteville and Cumberland County. So the National Weather Service has issued a flood warning for the Cape Fear River. With the confidence increasing in potentially catastrophic flooding in the Sandhills and South Coastal Plain. Based on information from the National Weather Service, there's a high probability the banks of the Cape Fear River will overflow at a level higher than occurred during Hurricane Matthew. We have some confidence that that may occur Monday night. We'll need to watch this closely, to watch the track of the storm, how quickly it moves, how slowly it moves. And of course, we're very concerned about the amount of rain that may fall. We also have Nick Petro here with the National Weather Service. That'll give us some information about that, so we won't go too much into those details right now. Obviously, we've got a high level of concern about folks' safety along the Cape Fear River. And we're telling folks, if you live up to 1 mile of the Cape Fear River on either side of the bank, that you should consider voluntarily evacuating that area. There's also a high level of concern for safety in those in the vicinity of the Little River in the Manchester area near Spring Lake, and that you should also consider voluntarily evacuating. There is a high probability this will become a mandatory evacuation order within the next 24 hours, with the goal of residents being out of these possible flood areas by Saturday night. We want to give us, our responders and the citizens as much time as possible, but again, it is a changing, dynamic situation, and we want to be as cautious as possible. So we are refining the areas concerned now based on the National Weather Service forecast, and we'll issue information more specifically as far as specific neighborhoods, and I do believe that the City of Fayetteville representative will have some information about that with locations of specific neighborhoods that they've identified. So that'll come from Scott Bullard in just a few minutes. Residents should monitor the news media, social media, and government websites for further direction from emergency management. Just to cover what we've already talked about previously, but just to update some numbers. When it comes to shelters, again, our shelters are Kiwanis Recreation Center. It has a capacity for 100. shelterees, and the current population as of 10:50 a.m. today was 55. Mac Williams Middle School has a capacity of 105, and the current population is 95. Pine Forest High School has a capacity for 225, current population of 92. 71st High School, capacity for 295 with a population of 82. Smith Recreation Center, capacity of 100, current population of 62. Southview High School, capacity for 310 with a current population of 154. W.T. Brown Elementary School, capacity for 90 and a current population of 21. So we're looking at a total capacity of 1,225, but the actual current population as of, again, 10:50 this morning is 561 people. Please know that there may be limited number of cots at some shelters, and residents should take sleeping bags, blankets, mats, and/or cots if you're planning to relocate to a shelter. FAST will continue to provide transportation. We will notify everyone if that should change due to the weather conditions. You can anticipate that at some point that could change, but we will announce that and we'll put that out. But until then, they will offer service if that is needed to transport to a shelter. And again, you can call the non-emergency number that's listed here at 910-678-7657. Again, that's 910-678-7657. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick Petro so he can give us an update on the weather and the hurricane.
Thank you. Hurricane Florence has been a devastating storm so far. We've seen major storm surge, inundation at the coast, devastating storm surge, damaging winds, flooding right along the coast and across the rivers in eastern North Carolina. The storm has now made landfall and is gradually moving west and southwest across the Cape Fear region. It's moving very slowly, and that creates a problem, a particular problem with slow-moving heavy rain bands. There are several bands of heavy rain on the north side of Florence, and as that storm just gradually shifts westward with time through the next 24 to 48 hours and even longer, those bands will continue to rotate across the area. So we're looking for, just quite frankly, a lot of rain, devastating rainfall amounts and flooding that will result as of that rainfall. We're expecting rainfall amounts here in the Fayetteville area of 15, perhaps up to 20 inches of rain. And that'll be the case across the entire region, across much of southeastern North Carolina, southern North Carolina, all the way over to the southern portions of the coastal plain, or of the Piedmont region. So all that rain has to go somewhere. It's going to flow into the rivers. It's going to result in river flooding. And we're working very closely with our partners, with our colleagues at the Southeast River Forecast Center, who have experts to model this rainfall runoff and the resultant flooding. And we've been working with them through the night and over the past few days. And overnight and this morning, in consultation with our colleagues at the Southeast River Forecast Center, we put out a forecast for the Cape Fear River at Fayetteville to crest at levels several feet above what we experienced with Hurricane Matthew. So, you know, there is a possibility it could get a little bit higher. Right now we're predicting the river to crest late Monday at a little bit over 62 feet. And, you know, beyond that, it's just all about the rain, how much additional rainfall comes. So the more rain that comes and the slower this moves, it could even go higher. So our confidence is increasing now that the storm has made landfall and it's gradually moving west, that those predictions of river flooding will come to pass. So, you know, we encourage everyone to take this seriously. Although the storm obviously is in a weakening mode, that doesn't mean the rainfall will lessen. The winds may be weakening, but the rain has just begun across portions of central North Carolina. So don't let your guard down. And even before the rivers begin to experience flooding, there can be flash flooding as well. And I want to emphasize to people that most flood deaths occur in automobiles. And if there's one point I can stress, is that never drive through areas where water covers the road. That's where most flash flood fatalities and flooding fatalities of all kinds occur. So don't drive into it. Turn around, don't drown is our saying. Okay, so if you're driving, you come across a flooded road, turn around. Okay, and all that, again, it's a slow-moving storm. We don't want to let our guard down. The storm is, we've got many more days of heavy rain, and that heavy rain will ultimately result in river flooding here in Fayetteville and other rivers across central and eastern North Carolina. So, so with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Nick. Now we have an update from Scott Bullard with the City of Fayetteville's Fire Department Emergency Management Section.
Thank you. My purpose is kind of simple today. I bring to you a list of about 75 or so subdivisions within the city that are not necessarily limited to river flooding, but in some fashion or form had flooding impacts 2 years ago with Matthew. The list is not exhaustive, it's not comprehensive and all-inclusive, but it will be offered for publication. We will publish it by Facebook and social media, and it will be offered to the media here to put out. So I'm not going to sit up here and read every individual place. However, the takeaway is these subdivisions in some form have proven historically to have problems. That needs to be heeded, just like Mr. Petro admonished everybody about treating this with the due respect and regard that it deserves. There should be no delay in taking protective actions if you can. Let's be commonsensical about this. If you're next to the river, you need to take some action. You need to move away from it. As time goes by, we'll refine some of these places. We may expand them. You'll have to stay tuned to the messages that we put out, and hopefully the forecast that we're using for a planning horizon will get a little bit sharper. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Our next speaker is
The Cajun Navy drove up. They're positioned all around North Carolina. These are good Samaritans. These are heroes who chose to come here and help people who did not evacuate. Now, our mission right now is not for human beings. Our mission right now is to go get other boats. This can help out with the rescue missions. This can help out just people getting their property as well. But we can help get more people if we have more boats. Simple math there. If you can take a look around me, you can see these sheds. You can see it goes up high on some houses, some that have come around me, not as high. In this particular area right here, this is Mitchell. He's walking next to us. He got out of the boat. He's going to walk right here. It's about a little thigh high there on him. He's a little taller than I am. But these homes, depending on the topography here, is on how high or how low this water is. And that seems to be where some of the confusion is. I talked to several people who said, I don't even live on a low street, but I couldn't get out because the street next to me was so low. It's still about 100 people or so who need rescue, and the water is continuing to rise across the county.
And that report from River Bend in Craven County, where we're seeing just the rescues, especially in the city of New Bern. We want to get an update now on the current winds from Hurricane Florence. Philip Williams standing by to give us a look at that. Philip?
To see the winds that are starting to come down with this as the circulation continues to spin itself slowly down as we're going into the early afternoon. So not only are we dealing with these problems here, but we're also dealing with a magnitude of different problems as far as river flooding, as far as the storm surge, as far as the tornado possibilities that may occur later on with this storm, and also the tremendous amount of water that's going to be falling from the sky. In fact, what we can do here is we can do a rainfall estimate of some of these rainfalls that's going to be coming through. Let me see if I can find that graphic here real quick here. There we go. There it is right there. Rainfall, no, that's not what I want here. Let's see if we can find it. All right, I'm having, let's see. Oh, here we go. Here it is right here. Here's the rainfall estimate according to our in-house model. We've been seeing some of these incredible amounts, and they're still continuing to pile up. And we're phasing into that second part of the storm Monique, where we're talking about the potential for flooding rains.
Yeah, definitely, and actually the model just went out there, but we're really looking at this potential for flooding rain as these numbers surely climb. This rainfall forecast gives us a nice rough estimate, not maybe exactly what we could be looking at, but it gives us a nice rough estimate.
Major Freddie Johnson Jr. from the State Highway Patrol.
Thank you. We just want to say that the Highway Patrol has deployed resources statewide. We're ready to go. Every member of the patrol is on alert. We're coordinating with the State Emergency Operations Center to assist the communities across the states, particularly in the southeast. The storm's not over. I do want to say that we've seen a little bit of traffic pickup. It's still dangerous out there. We need people off the road. I can't overemphasize enough what Mr. Petro said about Hurricane Matthew in 2016. We had over 30 people killed in accidents in North Carolina. The majority of those deaths were where folks drove around barricades and drove into flooded waters and perished. So I cannot emphasize enough, please stay off the road. If it's not an emergency, don't get out there. We're continuing to coordinate again, like I said, with our safety partners across the state and make sure that they get the help they need. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we'll open up for questions. And if you have specific questions for anybody behind me, a particular agency, please indicate that with the question that you have. So, open the floor. Yes, sir.
There are probably, as we head into the weekend, a lot of businesses that are getting anxious to open back up again. Are you encouraging them to remain closed? I think I saw Waffle House that's open and a couple of gas stations, but I'm sure that a lot of other businesses would like to open.
You've been watching a press conference from officials in Cumberland County and the city of Fayetteville talking about preparations and responses, also warning people to stay inside. There's a sunrise to sundown curfew there. And there are also some arrests, people breaking into businesses, and they want people to stay inside and let this storm play out to keep them safe.
That curfew in effect for the city of Fayetteville and for Cumberland County, as you heard the sheriff say. We have some pictures now that we want to show you from New Bern, where a number of people, dozens of them, have been rescued in high water. You see our live, oh, all right, that's a live picture from Julie Wilson. She's actually in a boat with some of those water rescuers. Julie, can you hear us here?
Hey, yeah, I can just barely hear you. Hey, Jeff, look right over there. I'm told that over there in that area is a golf course. We're in, gentlemen, tell me where we're at one more time. River Bend. River Bend. There's, over here to our right, there was like kind of a little docking area. That's gone. This was supposed to be a street, and that's gone. It's underwater right now. With two gentlemen out here on their boat. These are residents. You can see it's not super deep right here. They're just walking through it, but this is not something we would encourage people to do. So what we're out here doing is doing water rescues. A family of 5 is who we're looking for right now. Got this boat in the water. We've got our news vehicle up on higher ground looking for folks. The apartment complex that's right over here, Jeff, apartment complex, townhomes, water's right up to it, and I would not doubt that it's not inside a little bit there. So these gentlemen here, one's with the fire department, volunteer fire department, the other one's just out here helping. What they've done is just volunteered to go along and try to help people. And I'll be honest with you, it is amazing to see this community come together. They've just, I can hear a duck up hiding in the trees, Jeff. It's just amazing to see how the community has come together to help each other, to help one another. We were at a previous water rescue, and it was just amazing because it was people with floaties from their pool, with air mattresses, going out and helping folks who are maybe living with a disability that couldn't really get out and they needed help. We were seeing that time and time again. Gentlemen, how are we doing out here? Yeah. We're making waves. Okay. So that's really what we're seeing right now. We're just out of sight of New Bern, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the damage that we saw as we were coming in outside of New Bern. You could really see the strength of the wind and what it had done, what it had left behind. It had just taken mature trees and snapped them over as if they were just twigs, or it had uprooted trees. And I think that's a big problem with the power here, is those trees are right over on the lines, the power lines. And we have seen some electrical crews out here, not too many. We were told earlier this morning that those crews, we're getting in way steep here. You guys gonna be okay? Woohoo, we're gonna hop back in the boat. That's probably a smart move, sir. We're going to hop back in the boat right over here, too. And so a lot of folks out here, no electricity. At last check, no electricity when we talked to the Mayor Pro Tem for all of the city of New Bern. But we were told that they were going to be suspending operations until this wind died down. Wind's really picking up right now. To you folks at home watching, again, this right over here was a golf course. You can see where the sand is. I don't know how much longer that's going to be there. What do you think?
Ain't no telling.
Ain't no telling. So we're navigating through these waters. We're looking for this family of 5. Do you know anything about this family?
Nope.
They're just going to go on a boat and you're going to help them out?
Yep. Posted on Facebook. Said they needed some help, so we're going to try to get them out.
What encouraged you to come out and do this? This is your community.
Yep. It's good people, man. They didn't, and a lot of people didn't know it was going to be this bad, so they were not prepared at all.
Yeah, and that's what we're hearing a lot of these folks who came out and they're saying we didn't anticipate this being this bad. You know, we talked about a lot on air how bad this was going to be, but a lot of people just really didn't anticipate this being this bad.